We're doing a Love Yourself webinar today, and a lot of the principles that I'm working with and I'll be talking about are applicable to all areas of our life. I've just dialed today down to being how it would apply to ourselves. So when we did our different ads about Love Yourself, we kind of looked at what it starts with, how we think about ourselves, and then ways to instill confidence in ourselves quickly, how to get in the habit of positive self-talk, how the human brain changes when you implement a self-care routine, and also the biggest mistake people make when scheduling their self-care activities. So there we go. And then for today, what my intention is with our time we have together is that I will give you 3 tools to help you achieve your goals. Just gotta move my, there we go. Oops, that won't work there. Sorry, I've got to, there we go. To gain greater clarity on what your goals and your dreams are for your life, and also to feel even more confident in your ability. I'm gonna start off with a story of Mrs. Mouse. Because this is referring to the language of success that most of us don't really understand it even exists. So a mother mouse is was out on a field trip with her kids, and they're coming back to the house, and she comes around the corner. She's in the front and the babies are behind her. She comes around the corner and there's the big tomcat bearing down on them like this. And he's, you know, she's like, oh no. And he's thinking lunch. And he takes one step towards her and she's kind of pushing back with her, trying to get her babies to back up. And then Tom takes another step towards her, and all of a sudden she thinks about this, gets this bright idea, and she rises up on her back legs and she goes, ruff, ruff, ruff. Well, it scared Mr. Tom so badly he ran away. And Mother Mouse then gets back down and she turns around and she looks at her kids and she says, let this be a lesson to you that you can, it's always important to have a second language in life. So that's what we're looking at today, is the language of success that most of us don't even know exists. So how can we be aware of how to use it in our own lives? So what I'd ask you to do right now is just chat, just put something in the chat about if you have one area of your life in particular you'd like to improve. So whether there's 4 areas, there's your health and wellness, time and money freedom, your vocation, and your relationships. So if you had to pick one, your most important one, because we're going to dial this down for today, which is the most important, the one that you got the highest level of discontent in? Where can I see? There we go. Relationships. Okay. Awesome. Time and money freedom. Vocation. Awesome. Great. We've got choices here today. So we all probably have longing in all 4 areas of our life, but that's why today I'm just wanting to look at one in particular with our time together. And so again, just raise your hand because I can see you if you've ever achieved a goal in your life, a goal or a dream. You know, whether you, yeah, right? I mean, whether you went to college and you finished college, or you got married, or you became a mom, you know, just, we all have different areas that we've achieved, and we've probably got them in all the areas. We just don't stop and think about them. They become a commonplace in our life. There's Bonnie back. Whoopsie, let me just do, okay. And what this proves to us, each and every one of us, is that we are capable of far more than we ever knew. It's become so commonplace we don't stop to pat ourselves on the back. And what I'd like to show you today is that the quality of your life is determined by your quality of your thinking. This is where the language of success comes in, is we don't understand that the quality of our life is determined by the quality of our thinking. And that oftentimes our goals and our dreams are born out of the challenges that we face. And we have two signals for growth in our lives. I tell the story and of the big changes in my life. And they became after I had an injury, that my signals for growth, they'd been there before, but I wasn't paying attention. So we have our longing and we also have our discontent. And both of those, they're different, but they take us to the same point. You might be longing for the relationship, a great relationship in your life. You also might be discontented with the current one you're in, or you can be discontented about your job. So they're different and they show up differently in our lives. And we also typically have one of each in all areas of our life. We just don't know what they are or what they mean. So when they come together, our longing and our discontent, we get all kinds of energy going on. I'm a child at heart. I love to play. And this is an energy rod. And when you hold it in one hand, it doesn't do a darn thing. But when you complete the circuit, we get lights, camera, action. And that's what happens when we have our longing and our discontent, and we learn what they are, and we learn what to do with them. We get massive change available in our lives. And that's the two energies, that the pain of your problem, a burning desire for what you want, are essential for creating new results. So this is a picture of me, a little bit about my story. The picture on the left is me in 2015. I have just come out of my 4th major surgery at that point. I am a bionic woman. I'm a Humpty Dumpty. They had to put me back together again. And, at that point I was 254 pounds. I couldn't walk without either a walker or a cane. And basically was told this was how the rest of my life was going to be, that I should just get used to with all this metal. They had to put a cage in my back and they replaced both of my hips and they fused both of my sacroiliac joints. And that this was typically what people attain in their lives with the surgeries and the parts replacements that I had. And, I was, it's the fall of 2017, I'm looking down the barrel of my 60th birthday. And my mom was a cancer survivor and she lived till 87. So I'm doing the math on that and I'm thinking, oh no. I've got 25, 30 years left. This is not what my life is going to look like. There was a lot of longing and a lot of discontent. I longed for more of a life, for more in my life. And I was discontented with where I was at. And, I'd been through I've done self-development work for probably 30 years. I've done fire walks and all these things. And I used to talk to my therapist and go, I know all these things about, the power of attention and stuff like that, but nothing seems to be working to change my life. And that's because I had all these pieces, but I didn't have a system yet. And so the fall of 2017, when I'm looking down the barrel of my birthday, my mind drove a stake in the ground and I went, no, this is not going to be my life. I'd been having some goodbye conversations with people because I was in a lot of pain every day and I was miserable. I was miserable to people around me and I was miserable to myself. And, it's just, this is not the way we live a life. And that's what I kept saying was, this is not what I had intended for myself. And this is certainly not what it's going to play out with. So during the course of the next year, I actually planned a big birthday party with friends that flew to Pennsylvania with me. And we had a great, I spent my 60th birthday at the Hershey Spa doing everything chocolate and celebrated that and I said to my friends when we arrived the first night, I said, this is a marking for me. I said, I'm deciding this is not going to be my life. I don't know how it's going to change, but this is not going to be my life. And through the course of the year, things started to change a little bit. I'd put a stake in the ground with the universe, and that becomes important because these were components that I didn't know that I knew what they were, but I was implementing them. And that was the decision that I was going to change my life. And until we come to that point of decision, we'll continue to go around the racetrack. And so things came across my path. I found yin yoga. By the end of the year, I could stand up on my own. And I got out of the water the next year because I said, I want to get out of the waves next year in Hawaii. And I was able to do that after several attempts. And, it was all driven by my longing and my discontent with where my life was at. and wanting, longing for something more. And so, you know, in the beginning, so that was 2018, the end of 2018, I came across a vision workshop, which was essentially what we're doing here today, just talking about the program I work with and how it can work, how it can affect and change your life in such a positive way. And that it's 10-step repeatable proven process over 40 years that it's worked. And I went to a vision workshop, and at the end of this time with this gal was talking about this, and I'm like, this will actually work. So like I said, I knew all these different pieces, but I couldn't put them together. And I was the first one, you know, said, I'm in. Like, how do I get started? And all that information. And I started on the journey that brought me to where I am today. And so that's what I'm here to say is no matter where you are in your relationship, what your longing and your discontent is, this does not have to be the end of the story. The longing and the discontent are there to spark you to make a decision to change your life, because only we can decide that. And my promise is, well, for our time that we've got together today, I'm going to give you everything I can. I've got some principles to share with you to get you started in how this process works. And, you know, again, at the end of the presentation, for anybody still here, we have 2 gifts today. And I'll tell you about those at the end of our presentation. They're tools to help you. I'm big on helping, because a lot of times we just don't know where to start. And so that's what we're doing is I'm going to give you everything I can today in our time together. That's my promise to you. So let's play a little game. Here on the screen are the numbers 1 through 50. And I'm going to give you a minute. And I want you to look, and what we're looking is in a numerical order. So find the number 1, and then go to number 2, number 3, number 4, and go figure out where they are and all the way through. And let's see how far you can get in 1 minute. Okay. Let me get my timer going here. 1 minute. Okay, so start with the number 1 and let's see how far you go. And go. And time is up. So just, if you would, just drop in the chat, what was the highest number you were able to find when you were doing them in numerical order? Oops. I'll find my chat here. There we go. Good, Deb, 2616, awesome. Were you, Bonnie, 28, and I wanted to apologize, Bonnie, for keeping you on holding for so long. We were trying to get our tech stuff all sorted out. I'm so glad you came back. Thank you. Okay, so we've got pretty good results for not having a clue what was going on with this game. So let me show you the, because again, there's patterns to success. So if we look at this page and we divide it with four lines into 4 quadrants, what you'll find is number 1 is in the top right. Number 2 is in the bottom right. Number 3 is in the bottom left. Number 4 is in the top left. Number 5 is in the top right. Number 6, bottom right, 7 and 8. So their numbers are going in clockwise fashion through the 4 different quadrants. So now I'm going to take us back and we're going to try the same minute over again and see how much better you can do this time. Ready? Go. and stop. Okay, so now let's drop in the chat again. How much further did you get this time? Just put in the chat. Good for you, Carmi, 52, wow. Awesome. 40 for Deborah, awesome. Lisa, awesome, you guys. See, so what this goes to show us is that there's a pattern, and when we understand the pattern, that we use it then for our benefit, and we get results that are double, triple, quadruple what we would have gotten on our own when we didn't understand that there was a pattern to things. And that's what I work with, is the patterns in our lives. So that's awesome, you guys. Thank you for playing along. As well as in that, because I wanted to talk about the brain and how we work that to our benefit. And that we all have thoughts, millions of them a day. But what we probably don't understand is that those thoughts, I've got my chat bar, will trigger our feelings, which then will trigger, whoopsie, oops. Which will trigger our actions, which go to our results. Now, to break that down, you wake up, or even during the day, it's noon, you're thinking, I'm hungry. And you go to the fridge, and the thing you really wanted, because you were thinking about this all morning when you were, I'm going to have that for lunch, somebody else is eating it. So you're a little bit miffed typically, right? Why did, rah, 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 rah. I just wanted that. I was waiting for that, and I really wanted that. And if we continue with that, with our miffed attitude, then our actions are, we might turn around and go, who ate my lunch? And the results are, we've got everybody in the house mad because they're all like, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. Whereas, it's like, because who's going to admit at that point that they took mom's lunch? Like, oh, no, 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 no. So, and when we come to the fridge and we think, oh, well, I guess I didn't really tell anybody I wanted that. So it was free game. I was in the fridge. Somebody ate it. No big deal. I'll make myself something else. And so our feelings at that point, we don't have any major feelings. We just go, okay, so then we're going to make ourselves something else. And we'll have a lunch that might be even better than the one we would have had. So no matter what our thoughts are, what I was doing that for was for our thoughts, no matter what we start with, when we look, if we want to look at the results we have in our life, typically it started from thoughts. If we take that backwards. And so when we're looking at self-confidence, when we're looking at changing our lives, when we're looking at our longing, we're looking at our discontent, we look at the results, and it started way back there with thoughts we had. So whether, I just had a brilliant flash that kind of, I think it did an exploding star on me. We don't understand that, when we look at the results, all of us in our lives, that's what it was. The results we have are a direct link to our level of awareness. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing right with it. It's a result. And if we don't like our results, then we need to figure out how we change that. So if we've got a lot of discontent in our relationships, let's go back and trigger that back to what our thoughts were in that. And it's all under our control. And here's an example. Here's the a great little funnel of what our emotions, everything in this world is energy. We live in a science. That's why this is called the science of transformation, because everything vibrates at a frequency. So, shame is the lowest on this scale. So if you feel shame in your life from whatever, things that happened earlier in your life, things that, things you might have done that you aren't proud of, when there's any of these, when you go up to 200, any of those emotions going on in your life, they're all lower frequency. And what happens is we attract more of what we are. So have you ever noticed, do you have a friend in your life that's always seemed to like everything works out for them? And they're probably one of those people that's got a really high vibrational energy going on in their mind. And when we look at someone that's got, you know, a lot of fear going on in their lives, you know, I'm afraid of everything. So they're vibrating at a level of 100. So they'll typically attract more fear, more reasons to be fearful, and more of those lower energy emotions into their life. So this is where we tie it back to our thoughts control our feelings, control our actions, control our results. Another one is if you see a spider, you know, I know people that are terrified of spiders, and I'm like, I just go grab a paper towel and I squash it. I'm bigger than it, you know, but for them, it's this big fear, right? And they get these feelings and they're screaming and they're, oh my God, there's a spider in the house. Well, then they're running around the house freaked out. And that continues in their lives until they go, oh, it's just a spider. I can just get a paper towel and squash it. Then I'm not afraid of it anymore. So it just stops all those other steps in the emotions from continuing, because we took the thought captive and we changed it. So that's where we're going with this, is that when we want to have higher self-confidence, higher self-love, we start choosing acceptance, we start choosing reason, we start choosing love, we start choosing joy, we start choosing peace, we start in choosing enlightenment. So when we're carrying those thoughts of peace, we get feelings of peace. We respond to people in an atmosphere of peace. And the results is we bring more of that into our lives. Make sense? Any questions? No? Feel free to drop them in the chat if you've got a question or I'm not clear on something, please. So here we have the 4 areas of our life. And our lives are a spiral. Again, whether it's a circle, whether it's a spiral, the universe is it just does in the, you know, our DNA is a spiral. Everything's a spiral. So here's the 4 areas of our lives. We have our health and well-being, we have our relationships, we have our vocation, and we have our time and money freedom. And we also have our longing, our discontent in each one of those. So what I want us to do now is to start tuning our attention to our longing and our discontent in those areas. And just because you have longing and discontent, the difference in here was when we looked at those emotions on the cone, longing and discontent is not a low energy. It's a notice what you're noticing. It's there because it's the spirit inside of each one of us that's calling us to more. It's just shining the light on what's going on in our lives that is calling to us, going, there's more for you. You were created for more. It's a really good thing. So it's not to be put in with the, you know, the fear and those sorts of things. Longing and discontent are signals to get us moving. They're like little kicks in the butt from the universe saying, you know, there's more for you. I have more for you. There's a bigger life for you. So they're not to be confused with the longing, with the, you know, complaining. And I heard a quote last year and I'm like, complaining is not conversation. Have you ever met with people that they just want to complain all the time? That's a low energy vibration and they will continue to get that in their lives. So we're not complaining here. We're just noticing the areas that we're not content in and that we're discontent in. So there's a very different energy in that. So to tune our attentions to our lives, because the first principle in the dream building program is to design a life we would love. And again, when it comes to our relationships with ourselves, what would we love? So that's what we're going to start looking at this morning, is designing a life you would dream of. And as what the statistics are is most people spend more time designing a vacation than they do their lives. And so this is where our lives, if we've got longing and discontent, let's go back and look at how we designed the life we have and how to change that. And the first question I ask myself and I ask the clients I work with is, what would you love? This isn't what you think you can have. This is a what would you love? And again, as women, a lot of times we've been taught to settle. it's good enough. Just settle for that. This is as good as it gets. This happened and this happened and this happened. So this is where your results are. Just get used to it. It's not that bad. And that's where I push the button and I go, no, wrong, wrong, wrong. Because if there's a part of you that's saying, I would love this, I would love a new job, I would love to find the relationship of my life, I would love to have more health. That was where I was when I started this process and was working with my coach. I longed to be able to walk without a walker or a cane. That was my longing. And then when I started getting some strength in my legs, my longing was to be able to get out of the waves in Hawaii on my own. Because every time I'd been before that, I had to get rescued. And I used to swim a mile a day and I had leg press 350 pounds. So to not be able to get out of the water was a really big discontent, really big noticing there. And so, when I started noticing some strength coming back, I'm like, oh, there's a possibility here. I cracked the door on what's possible. So when you're looking at what you would love in your life, crack the door on possibility. Because we don't have to concern ourselves with the how. We get to concern ourselves with the what would we love. And this goes to every area of our lives. When I was buying a new computer last year, I have an iPhone and an iPad, and I thought, you know what, for ease, I would rather have an iPad, like a MacBook or something like that. Excuse me 1 second. And so I started looking for MacBooks. And one of my friends said, well, you should get a 13-inch because they're a lot cheaper than the 16-inch. I was looking at the brand new 16-inch. And you should get that one because it's a lot cheaper. And according to my bank balance, I should have got that one. But I went, well, I have an iPad that's like 9.5 inches. And 13 inches, that's not that much bigger. And I was making an investment that I figured was going to last me for 10 years. And I thought, if every time I pick that computer up for the next 10 years, I go, I wish I'd bought the 16-inch, that's a high price. And so again, the price doesn't have to do with what you would love. That's our job. And again, as women, we tend to lose sight of what would I love. So that's what I'm inviting you into, this experiment of what would you love when when you're looking at the areas of longing and discontent, what would you love? And then we're going to look when you're driving down the road. I mean, I've got really good far vision. I just don't have close vision. So I need glasses to be able to read. We're driving down the road and everything looks normal because that's the way we've looked at things all our lives. And then we get glasses and all of a sudden everything becomes clearer. And that's what we're working with today, is clarity is power. So we're here to get clear on the different areas of our lives that have longing and discontent and what we would love. So here's my great crew. I've got an amazing team that I work with. Did this wonderful health and well-being wheel with the numbers 1 through 5 on it. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to start thinking about this, about where you are in your life. If you had to rate your health and well-being between numbers 1 and 5, what would you give your life? And then with your relationships, how would you rate your relationships with family and friends, coworkers, and significant others? 2 years ago, I'd taken a step back from a relationship with my sister for a while. It was very toxic. And I had a real longing for that relationship to be fixed. She's my sister. And I hadn't talked to her for 3 years. There was a lot of longing and discontent there. But at the same time, it was like, what would I love? I would love a healthy relationship with my sister. Time and money freedom. How would you rate the amount of time and resources available to you for the things you want to do and the places you want to go? And do you have money to give to the causes you'd love to give to? That's time and money freedom, when you can give money where you want to without having to worry whether you're going to be able to buy groceries at the end of the month. And your vocation. How would you rate your career and or your passion projects? So I'm going to give you just a minute to think about those. So number 1 is you're miserable in this part of your life. You're not sure how to get out of the mindset that you're in. When I did this, the only reason I had 1s was because there wasn't a 0. So it's like there was a lot of longing and discontent. Number 2 is you're not very happy in this part of your life and you are often overwhelmed. Number 3 is this part of your life needs some improvement. You're working on it, but not as often as you'd like. Number 4, overall things are pretty good and you're working towards your goals. And number 5, you're feeling very good about this part of your life. You feel energized and are achieving your goals. So just take a minute if you would and just rate yourself on each of those areas, how you would rate 1 to 5. Ten seconds. Okay. Anybody feeling kind of discouraged at this point with your numbers? Like I say, I was definitely discouraged at the point because I didn't know what to do about it. And oftentimes we don't. We can feel the longing, the discontent, and we have no idea how to change that. And that's what I do. That's what I do. Is I help people to go from the longing and the discontent over here to living a full and fulfilling life over here. And it's one that's different for every single one of us. There's no one size fits all. And that's the art and the science of this, is what would you love? So now I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. Oh, actually, I already did this part. Sorry, never mind. I was going to write down about what you thought about your different areas of your longing and discontent. And so what we're going to do instead now is we're going to do time machine. So you've got your 1 to 5 ratings and you've picked your one area that you really want to work in. So, and we're going to pick the one. Time machine is, I don't know anybody that hasn't seen Back to the Future. And if you haven't, I'm sorry. The professor, again, they get into this car and it goes into the future. And what we're doing today is we're taking that car and we're actually going out 3 years. So we're going to go to February 13th, 2024. And we haven't seen each other since our workshop today. And everything you've dreamed about in your life has come true. We've waved our magic wand and everything you wanted has come true in your life. You've got the job of your life, of your dream. You've got the relationship of your dream. You've got all this freedom to do these, some trips, different places, and your health, you're at your goal weight and your skin's glowing, or, however that looks for you in the area of your life. And so again, I'm going to ask you to take just one area, and the time machine, typically we stand up and we do a counterclockwise 4 steps to come back to where we are. And you can do that mentally if it's hard for you to stand up. But the reason for this is in Chinese energy, when you're going counterclockwise, it's undoing the energy that binds us. Again, remember I talked about energy. We don't even have a clue of how important the energy is. So you can do it in your mind, just kind of visualize yourself going counterclockwise back to the starting position. And it's February 13th, 2024. And everything's come true in your area of your life. And so I'm going to give you 2 minutes to write about this. Some key things in here is write it as if it's happening right now. So part of mine, when I do mine, is my 65th birthday is coming up in April of 2024. And not only have I met my life partner, but he has planned and booked our trip to Australia for my 65th birthday because I want to see an opera in the Sydney Opera House. So I'm anxiously awaiting leaving on our trip, and I've got all my bags. I know what I'm packing. We've got this great trip planned. I mean, and I feel that energy of that trip with every part of my being. So pick the one area and then go out 3 years, and it's happening right now. Is that clear, everybody? Anybody got any questions? The key is it's happening right now. No questions? Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes to write about the area of your life in 2024 and what it looks like for you. Okay, go ahead. Everybody get something written down? Anybody like more time? You can raise your hand if you'd like a bit more time to write this. You'd like some more time, Carmi? 1 minute, 1 minute. Okay, go right ahead. This is important. All done?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So this is the start of your blueprint. When we're looking at building our house, this is the start of a blueprint for a life you would love. Whoops. There we go. So the reason it's so detailed is when you're building a house, I mean, because I'm working on this myself, you've got to put on your blueprints even where you've got light switches, light sockets, everything about building a house has got to be put on the blueprints. And that's what we're doing is we're designing here a blueprint for what you would like your life to look like. So that's why it's always great to dream big and dream. And I mean, I spend time every day with my dreams. And I'll share a bit more about that. So deciding for our dreams, because it's kind of if we want to go, well, it's kind of my wish. Like when I drove that stake in the ground, I said, this is not what my life is going to look like. That's a decision. It's not like, well, I really don't like this that much, but you know, they told me this is the way it's going to be. And so I guess I should just accept that. That is not deciding for your dream. A decision is a decision. So I'll give you a couple seconds to read this. Everybody get that? So again, as I promised, there's a science and there's patterns to everything in the world and how we learn, how we grow, how we change things. And this is classic of this paragraph here. We can read it with no problem because the only difference is the first and last letters are in the correct places. And everything else can be mixed up because our brain doesn't read every letter. It fills in all the rest of the gaps. So when we're looking at the language of success, like Mother Mouse and the barking where she scared the cat away, this is another one of those patterns. Our brain will take us from where we are to where we want to be, and we don't have to know how. And it's actually great that you don't know how, because then you try to get in there and manage it. Our brains will do amazing things when we give them the space to do that. So this is another one of those things of, you know, a language that we don't understand, but works without us knowing what it is. So another part of, sorry, I just need to, you know, dream building. So that was dream building. Number one was designing a life. The number two part of that is Bob Proctor says, there's a single mental move you can make, which in a millisecond will solve enormous problems for you. It has the potential to improve almost any personal or business situation you will ever encounter. And it could literally propel you down the path to incredible success. Any guesses? Anybody want to write in the chat what they think this is? Dream building principle number two. Name for this magic mental activity. It's called decision. Love this. Again, until we decide, nothing's going to really change. So it's not, like I said, it's not the kind of sort of wish I could kind of, or the, well, you know, I can't do this because I haven't got this. It's not the, well, that's what I'm told is going to be, you know, and, you know, I can't do that because I can't change jobs because I might lose my benefits, or all those things like that. What we're being called on in this time is to learn what making a decision in your life will do for you. The clients I work with, we've noticed it over and over and over again. Like that wishy-washy, you get wishy-washy results. It's how bad do you really want this? And most of us don't understand these principles. We're doing the best we can. Every single one of us on this planet is doing the best we can with what we know how. And going back to that circle where we have our results, what we look at on those results is that's the best that we can do on our own without help. We're doing the best we can. So if you don't like the areas of your life, what's it worth to you to keep staying in that position? Because that's the best you can do, unless you call in help. Whether you know, again, I work with multiple coaches because I've seen the difference in my life when I have eyes on my life and when I don't. And that's the decision of I'm going to do whatever it takes to make my life better. And that's what we're looking at today is how bad do you want to change your life? So let me tell you a story about this guy. He walks into this older guy, Harry, walks into the bank, and he's got a check in his hands for $10,000. Woohoo! I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it into a vacation for my family, whatever. Walks up to the teller and says, I'd like to cash this, please. Hands the teller the check. It says made out to Harry, $10,000. And the teller turns it over, hands it back to him and says, sure, no problem. I just need you to sign the back of this, sir. And he's like, oh, no. How do I know you're going to give me back my money? If I sign the back of that, how do I know you're not going to keep it, put it in the drawer, and I'm going to not get my money? And the teller says, well, sir, this is the way it works in banking. You have to sign your name on the back of the check that says this is you and I'm giving you the money. Well, I know it's me and you know it's me because you know I bank here. So I don't have to sign the back. Just give me my money. And this went back and forth with the teller. Sir, this is the way, this is banking policy. You have to put your name on the back of the check that says you want the money for this. Ages and ages they went back. And finally the teller said, sir, Harry, I can't help you today. You're going to have to leave and go somewhere else because our policy is you have to sign the back. You don't want to do that. So I need to ask you to leave because we've got a lineup and you're not prepared to play by the rules. So off he goes down the street to another bank, goes through the same exact process. How do I know you're going to give me my money? How do I know you're not going to steal from me? How do I know that if I sign this, on and on, same thing. You're going to have to leave. I'm sorry, we can't help you. Goes into the third bank. And there's a young teller who's hasn't been in the industry that long, walks up to him. I'd like to cash this, please. Hands it to the guy. And he says, sure, no problem. I just need you to sign your name on the back and give it back to me. And I will give you your $10,000. You can see what's happening. How do I know you don't know me. How do I know you're going to give me my money when I give you this check? Well, because that's the way it works in banking. I know, but you don't know me. So how do I know you're not going to keep my money and go? And it goes back. And finally, the young guy, just exasperated with this, hasn't got the patience for this, reaches underneath his counter and he picks up a rubber bat and he bonks the guy on the head and he says, sign the darn check. Harry's all caught off guard and surprised and he signs the check and hands it back to the kid. And the kid gives him his $10,000. So Harry proceeds to go back, takes his $10,000 and goes back to the first bank and says, see, I got my money. The teller says, yeah, but I bet you had to sign the check, didn't you? And he says, well, yeah, but nobody explained it to me that way. So again, the redundancy of this, we have to sign our name. If we want a different life, if we want to make changes, we have to sign our name. We have to decide we want it. We have to decide what it's worth for us to go ahead with our changes. And we have to sign the check that says, I want to change this. So here's most of us in life. I recently learned that there's only like 5% of people in the population. So congratulations. I meant to congratulate us all when we started here. Less than 10% of the population of the world ever invests in personal development, ever goes, it's big enough. I want to change this. So I'm going to change. So you're in a very small elite group of people that goes, there's something wrong and I need to figure out what I need to change it. So here we got our fish. They're all swimming around in the tank. No problem. All going round and round and round. And this is most of us in our lives. We just swim around, everybody in the tank. Oh, but this guy had his eye on a bigger tank. He's like, there's a bigger tank over there with more water in it. And that's what I want for my life. And, people go, it's lonely over there. It's whatever over there. And it's like, yeah, but I got a big tank to myself. And that's what happens. That's what decision looks like. It doesn't matter what it looks like when you get over there. It's just like, yeah, I've got a desire for more. How do I get there? And he jumps over and lands in the tank by himself. I love that picture. So again, are you ready for change? And how much are you ready for change? On a scale of 1 to 10, and please don't, this is just for you guys. This is just for you. How ready for you are change in your life? Are you a 1? Are you a 5? You're thinking, I could change some things. Again, that's not going to work. It's got to be up in the upper ranges of I want to change my life. and I want the tools, and I want the support, and I want the accountability to do that. That's what brings our change in our life, is to decide we want it and how bad. Single mental move. Simple, decide. How many of you, I did a webinar last month on affirmations, and I don't know if any of you use affirmations, but what you'll find over time is with that, the vision you wrote out, what you would love, when we're doing affirmations, we will actually pull those affirmations out of, we'll pull the affirmations out of our vision. Like what I work with people is we work to do a vision in all 4 areas, a very detailed one of what you would love in all 4 areas. And we're pulling out of that, we're pulling our affirmations. There are also affirmations you can just work with daily just to get you moving. Again, an affirmation, our minds are on a railroad like this. And we're controlled by our paradigms typically. Don't change that. Don't do this. You know, this might happen, whatever. So we stay on the same path. Whereas when we start adding things to it, going, well, you know what? That might, maybe I would like to do that. You know, like for me, it's not well, maybe I would like to go to Sydney for my 65th birthday and go to an opera. It's like, it's burning holes in my heart. I want to go and do this. I've wanted to do it my whole entire life. I was there, but I didn't get to see an opera inside of it. I'm like, I want to see an opera in the Sydney Opera House. That's a big want for me. That's a big bucket list item. And so for our daily affirmations, they're simple, positive statements declaring specific goals in their completed states. Back to the thoughts, cause the feelings, cause the emotions, cause the actions. This is one of the ways that we can start changing the thoughts at the beginning. Another tool for that. Remember, I listed the tools I was going to show you. And our affirmations can sound rather basic at this level, but they are empowering mantras that have profound effects on our conscious and our unconscious mind. Which probably means, unless you've studied the mind, most of us are controlled by our subconscious mind. We're not even aware of the fact that we think it's our conscious mind running our lives, and it's actually the subconscious mind, that programming of, well, money doesn't grow on trees. And, you know, well, rich people are different. They're not necessarily nice. You know, you need to have money or you can have love. You can't have both. All of those kinds of things going on in your head are all paradigms. I know plenty of rich people that give incredibly, and I would long to be able to give to that level. So that's where our daily affirmations come in, and I do work with you on that as well when I'm working with my clients, is getting affirmations. I have 4 I do multiple times every day, and one of them is about my life partner. And I just changed it because I was talking about my life partner. You know, my tall, ruggedly handsome, kind, thoughtful, witty, funny life partner's on his way to me. I was using that one. And I ran him by my coach this week, and she said, let's up that a game. I wake up every morning next to my life partner, my tall, ruggedly handsome, kind, witty, thoughtful life partner. And that's the difference in the emotions of the closer we bring it to our heart, because then I can visualize and I can feel myself lying in bed next to my tall, ruggedly handsome life partner, and feel that love that he's putting into my heart and into my life every day. And that's the science and the art of this. It goes deeper and deeper. I'm trying to just cover a really basic level of the program that I work with to kind of give you a taste of what we do and where your life can go by working with me. So affirmations are another one of those things that just can start changing your life, that little twist that can change your life. You know, when you wake up, instead of waking up grouchy, waking up and saying, I wake up every morning full of joy and vigor for my day. What would happen if you started that every morning? Instead of, oh, I ache so bad. When I wake up, I ache. I wake up every morning feeling vibrant and ready to face my day. These are all tools of changing your life. And the third part of this, Dream Builder principle number 3, and we got our house plans there, is to befriend our fear. Because we'll all make the decisions to make things change. And take a moment and think of a time in your life and you were like gung-ho. Yes, I really want this. I'm going to do this. Whether it was like, I wanted to be an astronaut. And all of a sudden it was like, everybody said, well, you can't be an astronaut. You're a girl. You can't be or whatever. Like, look at something in your life where you really wanted to do something. And somebody came along and said, you don't have the smarts to do that, or you don't have this, or you've got that going on. You've got kids. You can't do this. So look at some times in your life where that happened. The voice of reason, the voice of those that we love, that are, the voice of our own paradigms are yik-yakking in your ear. And you go, yeah, you're right. I'm dumb to think that way. So those are all fears that are rising up. Those are all our paradigms, and they're designed to keep us safe. We don't really, again, until we recognize what they are, how can we change them? And that's the whole part of the Dream Builder program, is recognizing it's all a science. It's all the science of transformation. There's steps, there's ways to work with all this stuff that propels you forward at a rapid rate when we learn what the things are that are holding us back, and how to turn that and go, yeah, no, you're not the boss of me. So one of them is befriending our fear. Again, like I said, with the spider, get a big paper towel and just squash it. It's like, I'm not afraid of a spider. He's just little, and that's befriending our fear. That's a really simple example of befriending our fear. So here we go. We got our decision. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for this, whatever it is. I'm going to start a new diet. I'm going to learn how to run a marathon. I'm going to go back to university. I've got this, look at this little guy. I've got this. I'm in. I'm going for it. Next breath. Oh, crap. Oh no, you can't do that. Again, what happens if you lose your benefits? What happens if you break your leg? What happens if you jump out of the airplane and your chute doesn't open? Whatever that is, that's it's like we end up terrified and we go, oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Silly of me. I really should give up on that. That what if you fail? And all those paradigms and all those people in our lives that do that, they're not doing it to hurt us. They're doing it because they think they're trying to keep us safe. They're trying to keep us from getting hurt again. Like how many times my mom said, don't get involved with him. You'll just get hurt again. And so the reality is, what if you fail? What's the worst that can happen? Again, an example from my life. In the 1990s, people kept hitting me. There were 4 car accidents where cars kept hitting me. 3 times I was stopped at red lights and people hit from behind. There was vehicles in front of me, so it wasn't like I slammed on my brakes suddenly. It was like a lineup of cars. And I had a business, I had stores, I was, in a not great relationship, not great marriage. And everything collapsed on me. My health, everything collapsed on me. And my doctor finally, my blood pressure hit the roof. She said, I can't put you on more medication because you're already on so much. And she said to me, I'm giving you a choice today before you leave my office. Either you're going to close your company down, or I'm going to put you in the hospital and you'll lose it anyway. So I called my business manager and we started the process, which cost me not only my business and 3 stores, but cost me my house. I went through personal bankruptcy. Like, it cost everything. And you know what? I packed up my truck and I moved to California. I'm like, if I'm going to do a do-over, where do I want to be? I've always wanted to live in California. I'm going to California. And I have this amazing life today because I'd failed. And I went, oh, that's not the end of the story. So I've got 2 black belts in failure. The second was after this fall in 2010 that cost me everything. And I can here to tell you, failing is not, it's not the end. It's not that scary, because now I go, well, I've lost everything once or twice. So there's not much that scares me anymore. That's a great place to be. And you will survive. You know, when we were little kids learning to walk, you know, typically we were on our hands and knees and we were going and, you know, we would see all these people around us walking. Never once did we think, well, if I stand up, I'm going to fail and I'm not meant to be a walker. You know, you typically, I mean, at least we did, my sister had 4 beautiful babies. Actually had 5, but one died at birth. But we would put things on the table, their favorite toy, a ways away and up higher, so they would get up on their feet and things like that. So, you know, we'd watch them and encourage them. It's okay, you fall down, get back up and do it again. That's what we did as kids. They never once did we say, you keep falling down, you're not meant to walk. Right? We went, oh, it's okay, you'll get it next time. And this is what this little guy here is doing. Look at that joy on his face. I've got this. I'm going to walk here. I'm going to do this on my own. I've got the tools. I've got what I need. I'm good here. And that's where we get to with the Dream Builder program is you've got this. You will succeed. You might, you know, and again, it's that structure of support that I offer. Like, you know, again, most of us will not change without accountability, a structure, and a desire to do it. So, you know, we want to succeed. We got to get some help. Are you willing to fail and rise again? Oprah Winfrey, she was fired by TV executives because she was not fit for TV. Seriously? Steven Spielberg, rejected from USC Film School 3 times. J.K. Rowling, I love this one. Single mom trying to feed her kids. Like this isn't a, well, I'd like to get myself some new clothes. This is, I need to feed my kids as a single mom. She was rejected 12 times from publishing houses. How bad do you want your dream? Are you willing to keep failing and getting up and going again? The 13th time, and she's now one of the richest women in the world, but it took 13 times. Bruce Springsteen, he was fired from his first band because he was told he couldn't sing. Seriously? And then we got Henry Ford here. He had failed at 3 different businesses before starting Ford Motor Company, and he was 53 when he started it. For people that know me, I bought a 1/4 of an acre of lava on the Big Island 4 years ago, coming up on, because I rent in the Bay Area and I have a great house, but you know, my longing has been to live in Hawaii since I was 21 years old. And you know, if I didn't have this house to live in, I would be literally up until now on the streets. And so I bought this 1/4 of an acre of lava because I thought, well, if worst comes to worst, I can pitch a tent on there and I've got a place to go to. You know, it was that doom or gloom thinking, but it was a, okay, well, let's get a plan so you can succeed at something here. And so I've got it, you know, and I went there last year 2 years ago after I'd done the Dream Builder program. And within 1 week of being there, I had all the components to build my house. I had the guy that was going to do my plans. I'd met the guy that was going to grade my property, build my house, met my electrician, my plumber, all those people. In 1 week, I had all this stuff done for my house, except the plans, because I had to do most of that. And I came back to California and I was, you know, doing the coach. I was taking the training. I'd invested, you know, tens of thousands of dollars in this training. And my voice said, well, you know, there's not enough people in Hawaii. If you want to build a coaching business, you need to stay in California. And you've got such a great deal on that house, you'll never find that again. And, you know, if you give it up, where are you going to live? If things fail in Hawaii, then what are you going to do? You're not going to have the house here. You're not going to have the house there. What are you going to do? All these things. So a year went by. I was in the study of learning what all this is, but I didn't have a coach. I'd let go of her because I'm like, I'm going to study this stuff. So I don't think I need a coach. And I was going through my 2nd level of certification a year later in April. And I'm sitting looking at what's going on in my life compared to a year ago when I'd gone to Hawaii and had all these pieces done. And it dawned on me. And so I texted my coach from my training. I said, are you taking on new clients? When can I start and how much is it? Because the difference of having somebody that was tracking me, somebody that was holding me accountable for my changes and making things go, and having a system of transformation, I'd got allowed a year to go by, even though I was studying it, without accomplishing really anything new on my project. And so that's what happens. And then somebody hit me in another car accident in June this year. So I'm seeing a physiotherapist, and I was talking about my plans to build my house and yada, yada, yada. And she looked at me and she said, second or third time I was there, excuse me, she said, why would you want to take on a project like that at your age? And I looked at her. I mean, you know, I'm 62. And I'm thinking, okay, 87 when my mom died as a cancer survivor is 25 years from now. And I looked at her and I said, I've got at least 25 years. Why would I not do this? Like, that's a full third or a third of my life left, pretty much. So Henry Ford failed at 3 businesses before he was 53 when he started Ford Motor Company. You're never too old. The day we lay our heads on the pillow for the very last time is when it's too late. And I've had many people in my life that have passed, and not once did they ever say, you know, gee, I'm sorry I took a chance. Gee, I'm sorry whatever. It's like, no, they want more time here. They want more of their dreams. They want more of what they've got. And that's the difference. You're never too old. And fear and failure are prerequisites for achieving great dreams. Like, just like longing and discontent, fear and failure are prerequisites, because you got to stare down the fear and go, you know what? You got nothing on me. And the failure, what if you fail? But what if I succeed? What if I fly? And we learn those tools in this, is to come back with those when those paradigms jump up. It's like, go tell them this. You know, when they try to, when my paradigms keep coming to me about money and this kind of thing, and this, you don't have the money to pay this. And this went on for a while. And I finally sat down and I looked at different sources where I had money. And I went, if I had not one penny coming in for the next 6 months, I can pay every bill for the next 6 months. So what I did was I took a date 6 months out and I said, you know what? You're a liar to my paradigm. You're a liar. And I've got enough money to do 6 months without one more penny coming in. So we'll make a date for 6 months down the road. August the 13th. I'll make a date with you on August the 13th. We can discuss my finances. And every time it keeps coming up, like, you can't pay your bills, you can't. And I'm like, we have an appointment on August 13th. You can't bug me. You're done till August 13th because you're lying, because I do have enough money to pay. And that's where we learn to start taming. That's what I do with people, with my clients, is we learn how to stop them and push them back to where we can make the decisions we want to make in our life. So the fear and the failure are prerequisites, because you get stronger every time you say no to your fear and your failures. And again, we go back to connecting with our dream. You know, we go back and we look at what our dream was. That's the language of success for us, is our dream. Remember the dog, I mean, the mother mouse and the dog. We learn the language of success. Go back to your dream. This is what this is what I'm being called to do. This is what I would love. And that's where we go back and we tie back into what we would love and our design for our life. Reconnect with that dream. That's your why. That's your why. So I'm going to ask you to just write down on a piece of paper, what is one action that you can take today that would move you in the direction of your dream? One move. What does that look like? It's like when because I'm looking to move this year. So I have, in the last period of time, I've called car movers. I've got my dogs ready to get the final certification. So what's one step you can take towards, there's steps we need to take to get to our dream. What is one you can start with today that would move you in the direction of your dream? Has everybody got something written down? Success is one little step at a time. You can even get up Mount Everest. It's at one step at a time. Even if you take one step every day, you'll eventually get up Mount Everest. And again, our paradigms would say, it's only one step, you'll never get where you're going. Lie. So let's look at what we've covered today. We looked at designing your dream, learning to look for the longing and the discontent, what that means and what that looks like in your life. And that's why it's calling you forward. Then we looked at deciding for your dream. What's it worth to you to go ahead? What's it costing you to stay where you are? People go, I can't afford this. I can't afford coaching. I can't afford this. And it's like, what's it costing you to stay where you are? It's costing you your life. So how do you put a value on that? It's costing you your dream. And principle number 3 is befriending your fear. How do we manage that mangly monster? So here's a video I want to show you all.
Okay, here's the deal. If you want to be successful, here's the thing you have to do. You have to jump. There is no way around it. You have to jump. Every successful person has jumped. You got to jump. You got to take a leap of faith. You got to dash off that cliff and you got to jump out there as far as you can. Now, a lot of times you stand on the cliff of life and you see other people soaring by, gliding down like a bird flying through the air. You know, they going over to the south of France. You see them on a boat somewhere. You see their family vacationing here, their family vacationing there. You see them dressing like this. You see them in New York, then you see them in London. They flying by. You know why? It's because their parachute open. But the only way to get your parachute to open so you can soar, you got to jump. Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem, my friends. When you jump, I can assure you one thing. You listening? I promise you this. Your parachute will not open right away. No, that's the fear part. I promise you your parachute will not open right away. You're gonna hit them sides of them rocks. You're gonna tear your back out on them cliff. You're gonna cut yourself. You're gonna get wounded. You're gonna get some tears and stuff like that. But eventually, the parachute will open and you'll be soaring. But here's the other caveat. Let me teach you this right here. If you do not jump, I promise you one thing, your parachute will never open. So you're safe, but you'll never soar. You got to jump. I got to go.
Oops, sorry, checking the chat. It's true. We got to jump. We got to take the leap. And the parachute's not going to open right away. It's like, I've never jumped out of a plane. I was on my bucket list for many years, and then I knew a few people that chutes didn't open, and I finally went, eh. But I have done firewalks and things like that. So, you know, we got to walk, we got to jump, we got to have faith in ourselves, we got to have faith in our system we're working with, and know that we're supported in whatever we're doing. We're supported. So I love that video. Whoops. So when we started today, I said I had 2 presents for you. Let me just get back here. And the first one Lisa's dropped in the chat. It is a self-care checklist because we were doing a self-care February. And really all of this work that we are doing starts with self-care. And that we are our greatest asset. We are, you know, and how do we step into becoming the person we are meant to be? So there's a self-care checklist in the chat. You're welcome to download. That's the freebie to thank you for being here at the end. And the other thing is I do, there we go, is I do one-on-one calls with people that are interested in exploring what their dream life might look like, what might be stopping them, you know, things like that. So it's a one-on-one. It's basically like our first coaching session. It's an hour with me. It's worth like $250. And so for anyone that's on my webinars, I offer this to you as a gift. And Lisa, can you put my Calendly link? Do you know what it is? Or actually, no, never mind. We're just going to have you text. Never mind. Leave that. So if what I'm saying is resonating with you, number one, if it's not resonating with you, then just ignore this. Take your free gift of your checklist. And because I don't work with everybody, part of the discovery call is deciding whether we would be a good fit to work together. And I definitely know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So, and that's a good thing. So the people that hear my voice and resonate with it, those are people that are on the possibility list. So if you would like to book a session with me, then please right now send a text, just send me your name, please, first and last name, and say yes. And then what I will do is I will send you a link to my calendar that we can set up a time that's convenient for both of us to have a session together. So again, there's no charge, there's no, there's no pressure. It's ultimately what I want is people that want to grow and change. They want to become a better version of themselves. And that's their biggest goal. And so that's not everybody. So, and I'm not offended by that. And I hope you're not offended either. It's just, if we're a good fit, we're a good fit to work together. And if we're not, we're not. So there's my phone number again, area code 951-537-8042. So just send me a text, your first and last name, and say yes. That's all you got to do. Super simple. And then I will get back in touch with you in the next day or so to set up a time to talk. So right now, hit send, hit send, book an appointment with me, and let's see what you can do with your life. You know, if you're not happy with it, let's change it. You know, I work with a proven, repeatable 10-step system of transformation. It's worked over 40 years. I tell people, if you show up, if you do the work, and if you lean in, your life will be completely different in as little as 90 days. And so that's why I do this. You know, that's why I came out of permanent disability and said, no, this isn't what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to help people that are stuck, that want to get out of it. So again, text me 951-537-8042. Another story for you about this quote. That's William Murray sitting there. So William Murray was known as one of the greatest mountain climbers of all times back in the early 1900s. He'd been a prisoner of war. He'd been starved. He'd had all these things happen to him. And he'd been writing his manuscript in the prisoner of war camp, and it got found at one point. It was written on toilet paper, and they burned it in front of him. And, you know, he barely survived. But he'd been Scotland's top climber. And there was another fellow named Edmund Hillary, who was wanting, his dream was to summit Everest. And he was putting together a team to summit Everest. Now, back again in the early 1900s, there was no sponsorships. There was nobody going to buy your gear. There was nobody going to send somebody up the hill to carry your gear. This was all, we do it, we pay for the whole thing. So Edmund Hillary went to William Murray and said, I'm putting together a team to climb Mount Everest. We would love to have you with us. And William Murray looked at him and he was all excited. I would love this. You know, he's thinking, I would love this. And he looks at him, he says, how much is it? And Edmund Hillary told him what it was going to cost him. And he said, I just don't have that much money. Can't do it. Sorry, can't do it. So Edmund Hillary takes, excuse me, takes his team and they try to summit Everest, and they were unsuccessful. 2 years later, he comes back to William Murray again. He says, we didn't summit last time. We didn't summit her. So we're going to try again this year. And really, we would love to have you with us. You're an amazing climber. We love your expertise. We want you part of the team. Will you join us? And again, William Murray said to him, how much is it? And he told him, of course, it had gone up. And William Murray's like, I just can't. I don't have that kind of money. You know, there's just no way I can do that. So off Edmund Hillary and his crew go, and they don't quite summit it this time. But when Hillary's coming down off the mountain, he looks up at her and he says, you won again this time, but next time I will summit you because you're not getting any bigger and I am. And off he left. So 2 years later, he's putting together yet another team, goes back to William Murray. We didn't do it, but we're doing it this time because I told her that I'm getting bigger and we're getting bigger and better. And we're going to do this. So will you join us? Because we're doing it this time. And William Murray stops for a second, takes a deep breath. The quality of our life is determined by the quality of our thinking and our questions. This time he says, how much is the deposit? And when Hillary told him how much the deposit was, he said, oh, I can do that. So he signs up to go. And they summited Everest at that time. So the only shift that happened, the mountain stayed the same, the people were all the same, was they got bigger. And Murray went because he asked a different question of how much is the deposit. So if your name's being called to grow and change, there's always a way to make it work. It's just asking a different question. So, and until one is committed, there's hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. We've proven what we can do on our own. You know, we're not going to typically be able to change it on our own. It's just not going to happen. And here's a quote. Actually, this has been credited to Goethe. It actually is William Murray. I just haven't had a chance to change this slide. That whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. That one step. What's one step you can take today in the direction of your dream? Boldness has genius, power and magic in it. What's one step you can take today towards the life you would dream of? And watch the universe, God, the powers that be, whatever you name that, watch them rise up to meet you and help you make your dreams a reality. Just going to tie it up with this. I'm just going to say thank you all for being here. Again, don't forget to get your self-care checklist. And here are some other ways you can help increase self-love. What are you grateful for today? Remember when you wake up with something runs across your mind that's less than what you would love, switch to gratefulness. They're free that I offer. I'm here to support people in change. We have a Facebook group called The Gratitude Key. There's all kinds.
I put the link in the chat, just so you know for that.
Thank you.
But go ahead.
That's my amazing Lisa, one step ahead of me. And then what do I need to do for me today? It's self-care weekend. What can you do today for you? Is that a 5-minute walk? What is it? What does it look like for you? What would you love to do today on self-care weekend? Every day should be self-care day, but and how can you show yourself love today? It's not the self-talk that says, you know what, you always do this. When are you ever going to change? That's not how you show yourself love today. It's that I can make this change and I am making this change. And the affirmations that back up and up and support it. And what little things fill you with joy? Find and do those things. There's little things in the day. And then what can I do today to feel nourished, body, mind, and soul? So I invite you, I just want to say again, thank you. I want to leave you with this. Are there any questions? Again, text your name to my my phone number, and we'll set up a time to chat. I would love to do that. And it's always a feel invited, not obligated. It's Fino. Lots in the chat. Let me just see what's going on here. Bonnie, you're very welcome. Pam, yes, there will be a replay. If you registered, yeah, there will be a replay. I believe we hit record. It says it's recording. So you may get it today, or my tech person, I don't know if she's working today or whether you'll get it tomorrow or Monday, but you will absolutely will get that. There's the gratitude group. Awesome. Great. The self-care checklist is so great. Okay, any questions? Any more questions? How are we doing time-wise? 11:30, perfect, an hour and a half. You're welcome, Deborah. Very welcome. It's my pleasure. It's my honor. And again, reach out if I can help you in any way. I do interviews with my health coach. We've actually launched a program, Free to Be You, just a little commercial here, combining the best of how to eat for your DNA with my Dream Builder. So we've put that together. There's working with different ways to work with me. Brenda and I do interviews every Monday. I think we set on 1 o'clock Pacific on my Facebook page. I do Feel Good Fridays on Facebook. My gratitude group. There's lots of support to support you wherever you are in your life at no charge. So again, I will say bid adieu, and it was my honor and my pleasure, and just know I believe in you. And hope you have a great Valentine's. Loving yourself. There we go. I got rid of the screen share. Don't need that anymore. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you.